Hybrid editing made easy.
This hybrid photography vlog post is brought to you by ProShow.
Photodex.com.
Hi, John. Great to meet you, buddy. You bring up an excellent point. There is a lot of marketing mumbo-jumbo and web forum mumbo-jumbo. You know, those DP review guys, they're relentless about talking about things that they don't even understand or don't have the ability to go put their hands on and test. Sensor size, when it comes to cameras, has very little meaning to image quality. Really. You would think that a larger sensor will give you much, much better quality. Well, that's just not true. I've got cameras with large sensors that have mediocre image quality. I've got cameras with small sensors that have outstanding image quality. So the size of it really doesn't have a lot to do with the image quality other than your depth of field control. A larger sensor is going to have a shallower depth of field with the same lens mounted onto it. And for a guy like me, as you can tell from this video, I like a shallow depth of field. Now, here's a great point. This piece of video that we're shooting here, and I know you're not really into video, this piece of video is shot on a Lumix GH2, so that's a 3-year-old camera. I've got the Olympus 45mm f1.8 on there, set at 1.8, so I've got that beautiful shallow depth of field. So I've figured out how to use a small sensor with that shallow depth of field, and there's no, focus, defocus stuff on here, no post-processing trickery. You need to look at image quality, and that's your primary reason for asking the question. And I totally hear you. I'm with you 150%, man. DSLRs are going away. The design of the DSLR with that mirror in the way prevents us from doing a lot of things that we can do with other cameras, including mirrorless cameras. So we have to accept that as pros. And not that I'm happy about it or not happy about it. It doesn't matter. I just know that that's what's about to happen. Well, you need to create a nice high quality piece, and you'll discover when you actually try these different cameras that the sensor size thing, you'll probably end up agreeing with me, doesn't mean a whole lot. And glass means lots more than any sensor size does. That's right. Affordable premium lenses in the mirrorless category are wonderful. And they're a fraction of the size, a fraction of the weight, and a fraction of the cost of their equivalents in the DSLR world. So image quality wise, you're going to get a big boost when you move to mirrorless because you're now going to be able to afford premium lenses, right? Beautiful lenses that you may not have been able to afford, or most people not have the ability to carry all those big lenses for DSLRs, the beautiful prime lenses, right? The Nikon 105 f2 I used for years, the Nikon 85mm f1.8, right? Gorgeous stuff. The mirrorless equivalents are smaller, lighter, and much less expensive. Here's where I want to communicate a couple of things with you. You're talking about full frame mirrorless. It really doesn't matter. And I don't see the Panasonic guys, for instance, making a full frame sensor. Here's where the Sony guys are about to be really mad at me. I know the Sony guys, and I have a pretty decent relationship with them. We don't see eye to eye on a couple of marketing issues. And one is that they are hanging their hat on the fact that they've got the largest sensor. Okay, so what? It doesn't matter. If you want to take a look at sensor size, their sensor size, the APS-C sensor size, is the same basic size as the Fuji X Pro, which I adore. And there's plenty of Sony cameras that I like too. But if we're shooting a Lumix GH3 next to an Olympus OMD, next to my Fuji X Pro, shooting JPEG of the same shot at the same time, and we were to make 16 by 20 prints. In fact, you probably know here that I use 24 by 24 inch prints as my test, right? That's my guideline here. You would see literally no image quality issues, and you wouldn't see a whole lot of difference between those three cameras. So here's my background. When we want to judge whether or not a camera or a camera and lens combo is up to our standards, right? Whatever that is. I'm going to take that mirrorless camera with that premium lens, and I'm going to always shoot a JPEG, right? Not that I'm anti-RAW, none of that stuff. It's just that a RAW processor on a computer can enhance a file and make it look better than the camera could produce on its own. So in order to be fair, we only test JPEGs with mirrorless cameras as well as DSLRs for the most part too. Then I'm going to take that JPEG and I'm not going to run it through Photoshop. I'm maybe going to print it through Photoshop. I don't even like Photoshop for printing. We've got the finest inkjet printers money can buy, right? Well, there's one of them. That's one of the big Canon printers. And what you can't see off camera is the 24-inch one. So I use one stock of paper. I use Moab Exhibition Luster. I drive the printer here. Well, actually, I do drive that one with Photoshop, but the other ones, the Epsons, I drive with Image Print, which is a lab grade software that does exhibition level printing, right? So I don't have any flavor from Photoshop in printing. I don't have any flavor from sending it out to a different lab. I've got that printer, and that's all it does. I shoot a test shot. I print it 24 inches, but typically crop into it if it's not square, 24 by 24. I'll print it. I'll put it over here on that wall, and I'll ask people when they come through there, hey, put your toes on the line that's 4 feet away from the wall. Look at that print. The print's lit with a perfect light source. And I ask people, would you be comfortable signing your name to that print and charging a customer $450 for that? Would you be comfortable enough with that? And then it's just a yes or no proposition. And if I take a really crappy digital camera, say a Nikon D100, and I were to use a junk kit lens with it, you'd see the 24 by 24 would not be acceptable by any stretch. But then on the other hand, you can go grab a very affordable $700, right? This is a Lumix G5, and put a premium lens on it and make a 24 by 24 that'll knock your socks off, bud. So image quality is subjective. Yes, it is. But is mirrorless ready for it? It's ready for guys like you. Yes, it is. Forget about that whole sensor size thing altogether. Really. Go find which camera fits the best in your hand, has the features that you're going to use, and move forward. Be a forward-thinking photographer. And I'm really glad that you're doing your homework here. Really. If you have the chance and you have the budget, do me a favor, move into the premium mirrorless cameras, right? The ones that we mentioned before, all ones that a lot of the vloggers here on Discover Mirrorless have and use every day. Lumix, there's 3 cameras in the Lumix line that we're super happy with and can recommend without any hesitation, right? The first one would be the GH3, that's the big boy. The next one down is the GH2, and that's what I'm using right here, right now. That's what we shoot all our daily video stuff with. Then the G5 is still in that category of that premium mirrorless camera that will produce the results you're looking for, assuming you use a good lens. The Olympus OMD, terrific. The Fuji X Pro and XE1, outstanding. Those cameras are the ones that set the standard for everything else to be measured upon. Sony's got a handful of different cameras inside there too that are wonderful as well, but it's just their line's a little confusing, and our folks don't seem to be gravitating towards the Sony stuff as much as they do the other things. So get a chance, test those out, choose any one of those, and then get started, because you need to get that feel for using a mirrorless camera and shooting hybrid. Mirrorless is going to allow you to shoot photo and or video back and forth as easily as you want to, and you'll open up new creative doors, man. I sure did. My photography as a pro, as well as a weekend guy, has changed because of the freedom that mirrorless cameras have given me to be creative in the camera, not in the computer, right? I'm not a Photoshop guy. I want to do it all in the camera. So sorry for the long response to your short question, but I really appreciate it. And I've been thinking about it for a day here. The Canon lenses are terrific. To answer your question there, you don't need to compare those, right? Sure, we can compare edge sharpness of Canon lenses versus Lumix lenses. You can if you want to, but look, it ain't going to matter, man. Really. You and I could go to Death Valley. I'm going to Death Valley in a couple of weeks, right? You could shoot right alongside me. And we're going to end up making prints like the prints that you see back behind me. And it doesn't matter what camera they came out of. What matters is the mind that created that image. So go get them, pal. Bye.
Made easy.
This hybrid photography vlog post is brought to you by ProShow.